Good morning. Welcome to the Technical Theatre and Stage Management Alumni Panel. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands that we meet on today. Here at NIDA, we are very privileged to learn and tell stories on the unceded lands of the Bidjigal, Gadigal, Dharawal and Darug peoples. I pay my respects to elders past and present. This land always was and always will be Aboriginal land. I'm so excited to welcome some of our fabulous alumni to join us today to tell us a little bit about what they've been doing and what they remember about life as a student here at NIDA. So please welcome Susie Henderson, Veronique Benett, Minka Stevens and Alex Duffy. So I might start with asking each of you to tell us what you've been doing since you left NIDA. Susie?
Totally. Susie, nice to meet you all. I work as a video designer, mostly in theatre and events. Recently, I've been working with Legs on the Wall for an installation with Vivid called Endling, which has gone really well. Also with Monkey Bar Theatre for their show Where is the Green Sheep, which is very cute and very fun and about to open in Brisbane on Tuesday. And I guess notably, I was part of the Picture of Dorian Gray, which just won a bunch of Tonys, which is really cool, as the editor. Probably the biggest one. And yeah, a bunch of other stuff. It's very cool. Very nice.
Good morning. I'm Veronique. I'm a set lighting and costume designer. Immediately after I finished the TP course, I went and did the Masters of Design. So my journey was slightly different there. And I've been working as a designer ever since 2018 with the tiny, teeny gap that everyone experienced in the middle. And I do set and costume design and lighting design and trying to combine set and lighting design stuff more, working across, musicals, plays, main stage, independent stuff, so a little bit of everything really. So that's me.
I do have a mic, yes. When I first left here, I went kind of into a whole bunch of different areas. Did a lot of events. I sort of wanted to dip my toe in every area I could until I found my place basically at the Sydney Theatre Company. And I was there for just shy of 20 years, working my way up through stage management as an ASM, DSM, and then became the head of stage management there for a few years, and then also worked in a little bit of company management. And for those that were here just before, I'm now also the head of stage management at NIDA, so I've come full circle and back where I started. So, yeah.
Hello, thank you for being here. This is a great turnout. Hello. I graduated in 2011 from the production course and immediately went into being a stage manager for commercial musical theatre in Australia and luckily around the world, and saw some pretty cool stuff. I've just finished up being the line producer for the House of Dancing Water in Macau that just opened again. So many stories, so not enough time. And then since then I've just sort of been dabbling in working across a range of sort of theatrical production on the kind of a large scale was where my mind took me to. And I started working at NIDA again a month ago. So hello.
Thank you. I wanted to ask you, and anyone can kind of jump in on this, what made you choose this course above other courses or in other places? What made you choose technical theatre and stage management, or production? It was called production when you were here. I'll throw to any of you. Go, Susie.
I think the main thing is the diversity of the course, and I entered wanting to be a stage manager and really quickly realised that I am not the best at paperwork, and that is a very large and important part of being a stage manager. So I was lucky enough to totally find this passion, incredible gift of a job that I now do in video design here. And I guess the main benefit is that coming through NIDA, you learn all the skills of all the departments. So you have a lot of empathy for everyone working around you, I think is the best possible version of leaving NIDA. And you know what everyone around you is trying to do and what they need. And you look at other courses, they're a lot more specialised and you become a lot more isolated in your field, but here you get to learn everything, which I think is a really massive boon.
I'm going to second that. That part's so critical, to know what each person's journey is you're working with to get through a particular project, production course, to know what your other colleagues are trying to do and achieve in their journey is critical to success in anyone that's in this room for this particular course type.
I don't really think there's any other answer to that question.
No, I also did this course at around the same time as Minka, and I think I wanted to be a stage manager, and it was all I ever wanted to do. But I wanted to find out what everyone else in the room was also doing, and I firmly believe it makes you better at what you do by, you know, the kind of the empathy you talk about, and having been in those people's shoes. It makes a big difference, and particularly for me as a stage manager, knowing what the other departments need is so important. When they say they need more plotting time, I know exactly what they mean. So I do think that's what builds better practitioners.
I also think as well, if you are wanting to be a designer, knowing how to do other things early in your career is a fantastic way to make a living and still stay in theatre. So that has been the other thing that I didn't realise coming out of it, is that I could sustain myself in those early years as a stage manager or a crew member, and be very useful in all those roles, which is really great. So yes, also a massive thing to consider, I think.
I might say one more thing. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I applied for the course and got in. I didn't know what a stage manager was. I did musicals at my school. That was really fun. I found NIDA, Googled it. I was trying to apply for the design course, apply for this course. 20 years later, here we are. So you don't need to know exactly what you want to do when you apply for the course. You can kind of discover that across the 3 years.
That's right. You can even... Sometimes we have students that go through, 3 years, almost 3 years of wanting to be a lighting designer, for example, and then at the end of, their third year, they decide they're going to be a production manager. So that does happen quite a bit. And that's the idea with our course. We don't expect people to choose in their first year what it is they want to do. It's really about learning those basic skills across all of the different disciplines, and then it's when you leave that actually you start specialising.
I actually found that when I went through, every time I did something new, so every time I went into lighting, I wanted to be a lighting designer, and then I'd go and do sound design, and I want to be a sound designer. And so it took me a really long time to get to the end to try and work out what I wanted to do, because I was like, I just love it all. Yeah. So hopefully that'll be you too.
Yes. I wanted to ask you if you can think back to your time at NIDA, from that long ago. What are some of the... No.
So recent.
So recent. What are some of the skills that you have taken with you, some of the skills and knowledge that you have taken with you that you took from NIDA, from your training at NIDA?
Time management. For me, that was a big one. Yeah. I don't know. It's endless, really, what you learn here. I think someone else should go while I ponder that just for a little bit longer.
I would say the ability to think big and small. I mean, there's such a plethora of having to navigate through different challenges, but the ability to sort of zoom out and see what the big picture is, what we're trying to achieve, down the road, really guides the kind of day-by-day planning, which at a school like this, when there are so many theatres and so many academic classes and so many shows being put on, which kind of makes it so great, the ability to do that zoom in, zoom out thing is really useful.
People skills, I think, is the big one for me. I came in at 18. I was a fresh graduate from high school, and between the ages of 18 to 21, I became a full person. And this is a great and intense place to do it, but I loved that intensity. I think it was really good. So you come out of it knowing how to relate to people from any age and any background and anything in the context of making theatre, and I think that is the biggest skill that I took away.
I would second all of those things. And I would also add, it makes you... at NIDA, you've got the toys, you've got the fancy lights, you've got, the theatres, you've got the crew, you've got that set of skills. But you don't ever take that for granted, because once you're out of here at the old fits looking at 3 park hands that don't work and trying to figure out how to do a design, it's okay, what did I creatively learn and what can I bring to this as a designer with limited resources now? And I feel like my journey through NIDA and being able to work with all the big things and look at what the best is, I was able to bring that to a smaller scale and still share the creativity with the larger team. And yeah, you cannot underestimate the value of working that collaborative cycle that particularly this course works in, because we work with everybody, and being able to work with everyone, have that people skill, because at the end of the day, I'm trying to, I want the best set, I want the best lighting design, so I want my crew to come along with me, and it's that people skill in, making a team work and that leadership role as well that I think this course in particular gives people, yeah.
Those leadership skills are so important, like learning, and when you're 18, 19, 20, like trying to understand compassion and trying to nurture other students underneath you and, leading teams, it's really hard to comprehend. And then a couple of years once you get out, you really understand what it was that you actually learned here. You're probably not understanding it while you're here, but once you sort of get out, and especially at this point, you really are so thankful about all those, the elements that you learn while you're here. It's just extraordinary across the board, yeah.
I'm going to ask you all to think about what some of the highlights of your time at NIDA were. I'm going to kick us off while you have a little think. Because whenever I think back to my time at NIDA, I think about the people that I was here with more than anything else. I think about my teachers as well, and there are some key things that they taught me that I've taken with me all through my career. But it is the people that I was here with that I think about the most. And truly, when you come to NIDA, you join a family. It sounds like a cliche, but it's true. The cohort that I came through with, many of them are still my best friends. In the years above me, in the years below me, in my year, we all still work together. When I work freelance, so I come across people in not only my own course, in other courses in the design course, actors, and we have this thing in common that we all went here, and so we have a kind of shared experience and a shared language, and I was straight out of school and I formed some incredible bonds, and it made me who I am. And so that is what I remember the most probably. So I'd love you to kind of share some of your key memories.
No, mine is kind of similar to Nicole's. I was only 18 as well when I was straight out of school when I came here, and I came from Tasmania, so I left my family, and I remember crying my eyes out to my dad, being like, I want to come home, I don't want to stay here. And he said, just give it a month. And within that month, I was like, I definitely don't want to go home anymore. Like, I am ready to stay here. I'm having the best time. But the people that you live and breathe with for those 3 years that you're here in the course, like, they are your family. And everything that you go through with them could be quite extraordinary. The love, the hate, the arguments, you'll probably live with half of them. It is pretty extraordinary, the people that you do meet. But also the productions that you get to work on, I didn't really understand what that was until I came here, and I hadn't really worked on many productions before. I think I did like one amateur one and a couple through the vet course that I was doing in high school. So, it was so eye-opening for me. I thought that I really understood what it was that I was coming here to do, and realised very quickly that I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. That was also quite, it was a, that's all I've got to say. I'm going to get emotional in a minute.
I would love to add too that this particular university institution has got so many venues that you get to play in. They're different kinds of venues. There's the Parade Theatre, there's the studio. I'm not trying to spruik the venues package to you, but there are so many different places you can kind of play in and put your skills to the test, and you don't need to get it all right here. You kind of make all the mistakes here, keep the best bits and use those when you get out. So I don't mean get out as in you're trapped here, but when you leave the course. So that's a really great thing, I think, too, is not many other institutions offer you the variety of venues to make and play in like this place.
I can't pinpoint one highlight because there was so much going on. But I would say it was the opportunity to be mentored and go and do secondments with like leading industry designers that made it for me, really. And having that relationship and connection, even that silly thing of like, you're in a foyer at opening night and there's that person, you can go up and say hey to them, because I hate the whole schmooze in the foyer. It's cringe, but you got to do it. You got to get your face out there. But if you know people already, like we haven't seen each other for a while, but it was like, oh, hey, how are you? Da, da, da. So, there's that, you can, like that connection and that little, in with people is huge. It makes a difference between getting an intro with a director you want to work with and a company you want to work with. So that's a huge part of it, the people you get to work with, students and the professionals as well. And my housemates, one of my housemates was in my class with me. We didn't live together at the time, but we do now. And she's, a production manager at Belvoir, and my other housemates, a beautiful costume designer for film and opera. So even though we didn't, click, well, not click, but we didn't live together at the time, we've, since formed a little, design house of ladies. So, the connection is always there. Yeah.
I actually also still live with two people that I went through the course with, and we have lived together for now 9 years, and we have 2 cats. So you do make pretty solid connections. I think there's one thing that you do in first year that really sticks out to me as like a turning point.
I think I know what this is.
In my it's T-Rex. It's really good. It's quite famous, I think, once you go through the course and once you do it. But it's really the first chance that you were given to take creative ownership of something and have to conceptualize, design, execute, and perform in this thing that you have made. And it was the most rewarding, challenging, hardcore process, but and it was terrible. The thing we made was not good, but it was really, you don't feel that at the time. You feel pride and ownership. And I think doing that and seeing my beautiful class of people who were all still connected go through it, a beautiful moment. So T-Rex.
You also realise how much talent there is in your class, because everything comes out of the woodwork. So all of a sudden you'll find out that someone's an opera singer or a tap dancer or a magician, and you just didn't know that until term 3. Our first years are about to go through it in the next term coming up, so we're looking forward to that too.
I guess I have one more question. I want to leave a little bit of time in case there are any questions. But what would be your advice for budding technical theatre and stage management practitioners that we have here today? What kind of advice would you give them?
Minka?
Oh, I would say be humble, be kind, and be a sponge. Just take it all in. Treat everyone the same way that you'd want to be treated, and you'll go a really long way. Yeah.
Yeah, I second that. Attitude is a massive thing. You can have all the skills in the world and be able to do the most technical, incredible things, but if you have a bad attitude and are hard to work with, you're not going to go very far. So I think that being all those things that Minka said are really important. And there are hard days at NIDA and hard days in the industry and hard days in life, and we all have them, and that's okay. But holding on to the fact that, for me, the thing that I come back to is people are paying me to make art. That's the most incredible thing that I could ask for in life, And stay humble. It's very good.
Good advice.
I would say use all of those things and then do it at NIDA, because then you get great network connections after NIDA, and that's how you work. End of sentence.
I started NIDA when I was a little bit older, so I was in a class where, fresh out of school and, a couple of early 20s. And so my journey was I think I know how to interact with humans and the people, but having gone through this, it is that that empathy and that understanding of the world that is completely different when you work in the arts and you want to make art. So I think keep thinking about if that's what you want to do, how you're going to approach the world, and just keep absorbing everything, because when you're at NIDA you just get so many opportunities and wonderful things, and it's a total privilege.
And I guess I would second all of that. Be a nice person, being kind of key. Always be open to learning would be, I seem to be full of cliches today, but you really never stop learning in this job, in any of our jobs. And so if you are open to learning what other people are doing, what the kind of art that they want to make, the kind of stories that they want to tell, and, just always remember that you are always learning. Even when you are fully trained, you've been working in the industry for 20 years, there are still things that you don't know, and there are still people that you can learn from. So just continue to ask questions and continue to be open to new experiences and new ways of doing things, I guess. I'd love to open up to some questions, if there are any questions for the panel in the last sort of few minutes. Got a question over here. Do you want a microphone?
Just for the online.
Yes.
Hello to those online. Hello.
Yes. Hello.
Hi there. Sorry, just a quick question. I just wanted to know if you guys had any advice on like how to network besides just being a good person.
How to network. Ooh. So you've got to get your face in people's faces, basically. So if you go to an opening night, you need to go up and approach people. Yeah. You need to have I don't really use LinkedIn for me as a designer, but something like Instagram and a website where I can show off my work, because you can be chatting to someone and be like, oh, here's my Instagram, like you can see my work. I don't know, what do other people think?
I feel like it's about what you've just worked on and kind of how you've approached that and what that sort of immediate orbit is around the people you've worked with on that thing, meaning that you're only as good as your last show to a point, and just kind of use the people, not use, that sounds awful, stay close to the people that you've worked with, because they will always want to call someone great to work on the next gig. So it's not that no one uses LinkedIn to search for a stage manager. That's just nuts. We all call our friends and say, who did you just work with that was great for this thing? And they go, oh, it was so-and-so. And then that person will call them. It's a bit more old school than Seek or LinkedIn or whatever. Just sort of that being kind and leaving a good impression is really useful to the next job.
Thank you.
And I would say, if you are in a theatre foyer, try and find the crew, talk to the crew, say hello, ask some questions.
They're also nervous. They're nervous too.
Hi, I just wanted to ask, you've all talked about how wonderful NIDA is. What are the negatives to being a student? What?
The hours are long. The hours are long for a reason, and you need to build up that stamina and resilience to working. That's what work feels like when you leave. So the commitment is pretty committed. You can't do this course part-time like you can the cultural leadership course, for example. So that's definitely a commitment to make sure you're ready for.
It is super intense, and I think that a lot of the people that you are with you're all in a similar age band, and that can also add to the intensity. You're all tired, you're all young, no one has any money. Like, it's all really hard. But like Alex said, that is exactly what it feels like when you leave as well. So like, I look back now on those hours that I pulled and I'm like, it's the reason I can comfortably do like 6 14-hour days in a week and be like, okay, at the end, which is, yeah, it's good. It trains you really well.
Hey, I was just wondering what your kind of experience was like after graduation, like finding work for the first time.
I'd say for me it was a little different because it was a while ago. But I mean, even back then, you can walk straight into a job, and most of our graduates are walking straight in, and they're also being taken while they're on secondment. So if you do a really good job on secondment, they'll be asking you to come back and work for them. I used to, when I was the head of stage management at Sydney Theatre Company, I used to come and mentor a lot because I used to use it as my sort of little prowling tool to see who I wanted to take on board. So this is what the mentors are doing when they're coming in and working with our students. They're looking for the next person to bring under their wing. So, there's a very high success employment rate for graduates. Yeah.
I also want to add that it's about 60% skill, 40% personality, human type, give or take. So when that mentor's here, if you apply for the course and you get in and you love it and you're kind of in second year thinking you need to be on for this mentor, just be yourself and show them your potential. We don't need you to be perfect in second year. Also, that's a common sort of opportunity thing in third year that we mentioned before. That's how I got my career. Like, I often think about it as being luck and timing, but NIDA got me that door, opened for me to go and give that a crack. So those are comments, and what the network of NIDA itself, without you even trying, gives you is a huge part of what makes going here pretty great. But a negative part, I don't know.
When I left, I was sort of straight into design land in indie, and then the show got picked up by a main stage, and then, you know, back to independent work. And it is just that thing of like, because you are freelance, so you are your own boss, and you've got to be able to diversify what you can do when you don't have a design gig. So can I go and teach? Can I go and do work with crew? Can I, you know, what else can I do to fill those gaps? Because they will happen, and it's just about knowing what you can do to plug the gap, really. But yeah, once you get your first gig, then they start rolling on and on and on. Yeah.
How like versatile do you find the skills? Because obviously this is a lot for like theatre and stage, but like you could go into say TV or film or even like news broadcasting or other advertisement medias with it.
There are things that you learn that can be applied to all of those industries. Like I work with cameras and a video designer, so I'm probably the closest to those mediums in a lot of senses. And in a way, they are separate little bubbles that have separate people and separate sort of ecosystems. But you can learn all the skills here, be bad at it here, and then once you get good, you know, take those skills over to film. I think design also, like set design, has a lot of crossover into that industry. I think you guys do a lot in that way.
Yeah, set and costume designers can absolutely transfer that skill, like, but straight across. As a lighting designer, not so much. Like, it's very different. But I feel like the principles and the things that I play with, I could transfer and learn that. But I guess it is just about, it's that people skill and that time management, organisational skill that you absolutely will have when you finish this course, that you can then apply to many, many jobs. And not just, you know, in the arts industry. Like there are loads of the skills that we have. You know, being calm under pressure. There were loads of people who went and trained as paramedics at one time because you are so cool under pressure. Because, you know, when you're standing under a fly tower and something is coming in and something bad does happen, it's like, how do you deal with that? How do you manage that? Make sure everyone is safe. And you know, I don't know, does the show go on? Does it stop? Like, you know, being able to make those decisions. So it's not just in the arts that you can transfer it. Many, many skills. But yeah, film stuff, it's transferable. It's just a different set of connections. Yeah.
That's right. And I think, you know, everybody needs storytellers. Like everywhere, that's what we do. Creative problem solving and storytelling can be applied to, you know, any industry. So I think that's why we see our alumni going in so many. There are lots that have gone into film and television, some that have gone into government executive positions, like those key management positions, because they're the kind of people that we're training here. I am going to have to wrap us up, and I'm so sorry that this session was over because I love sitting here talking to my friends and my colleagues, but we are on a schedule. So thank you so much for joining us. Yes, I'm a stageman. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody, and please give a round of applause for our wonderful alumni. If you have any other questions, we are in the foyer. There's a table down there. Please come and see us. There's a few more of us down there. I'll answer any questions that you have. Also, you can get in contact you can email me through the website as well after you leave here. So thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us online, and we'll have a great day.